Hi, this is Brandon from Watches on You. Today, we're at Continental Diamond in St. Louis Park, Minnesota, taking a look at the Montblanc Heritage Spirit Orbis Terrarum World Time watch. And right away, I want to mention that this is probably the least expensive Swiss-made world time on the market. And another thing I'd like to mention, we'll be leaving a link in the description if you want to learn more about this watch to a further extent than I discuss in this review. So now jumping into the piece itself. So again, this is the Montblanc Heritage Spirit Terrarum, or Orbis Terrarum, and it is a very interesting watch. It actually has one of the coolest world time complications that I've seen, in that, as you can see, on the dial itself, you have the day-night indicator ring, and that actually goes into a little map of the world, and the map actually corresponds to the various time zones on the city ring itself. And as you see, as I move, you can see the little world moves and the ring does as per usual. But then if I were to change the time, the position of the dark part on the map changes to indicate which part of the Earth is illuminated by the sun. I think that this is one of the coolest features that I have, or coolest world times actually, that I've ever seen, even though it's so inexpensive. This watch actually only retails for $5,500, and that's on the bracelet here that you can see. It's completely polished. There's also a leather band version that is cheaper at like $5,300. So this is much less than any other world time that I've seen from a company like Jaeger-LeCoultre or Patek, especially Patek Philippe. Those tend to go north of 50 grand, especially for new. And I think that makes this watch very desirable, and I've seen a lot of news articles about it. And kind of getting into the rest of the watch, as I said, it actually has both brushed and polished surfaces, but with the bracelet, it looks a lot more polished just because it's got a polished bracelet. So moving on to the case back, so as you can see, this is one area that this watch could probably improve a little bit. It has Côte de Genève finishing on the rotor, but then the base plate of the movement just kind of has some basic finishing on it, and that's probably because it's got a generic base movement with a manufacturer complication. So the world time complication itself is actually manufactured in-house to Montblanc, but then the movement is generic, most likely ETA or Sellita. So that's one area that this could probably improve, but overall I think that it is a very cool watch. So now I'll move on to a wrist shot. And the 41mm case diameter looks great on pretty much anyone's wrist. I would probably actually go with the strap option myself, but I think the bracelet looks very cool and adds a little bit of a sporty element to the watch. So this wears a little bit bigger than 41mm. I'd say more like a 43 or something, just because of the sort of presence of the dial. I mean, it looks quite significant, and this watch will definitely get you a lot of attention. So if you like this review, please remember to subscribe and share. Thank you.